Okay, so I finally decided to fix my rake. I've only had it for 2 or 3 years. I bought it at a junkyard for $200. Someone threw it there because he got pissed off with it, I think. Anyway, the only thing that's wrong with it was missing a chain here, one of the drive chains, and the bearing. It's missing this pin bearing right here on the other side. Now, I had a hard time finding one. I have to go right to the Massey dealer, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna put the shaft back together in here and put my chain. I matched it up with one of that TSC. I had to take it off this side, put it back in. So we're gonna match that up, and yeah, we're gonna go from there. It is I think it's either 37, yeah, Massey 37 rake. Now for $200, so you know you couldn't buy it. It's got all brand new teeth rakers on there when I got it, and it had a brand new adjuster ratchet. I should oil that, I guess. Oh yeah, that's the only thing that's wrong with it. It needs a bearing. Well, you could probably put the jack back on it that's missing here. But yeah, for $200 out of the junkyard, I think that was a pretty good deal. It cost me $56 for a chain at TSC. We'll probably put that on. Well, I want to get the bearing done and everything in. Okay, this is my new chain. RBL. I don't know anything about that brand. It's just an aftermarket brand. But anyway, there's the old one off the one side. I matched it up with that one. So we need to put this one back on. And here, and I'm probably going to go get the tripod. And if you're wondering why there's a chain on this tied to the post back there, it's to keep the thing from going sideways. To get this bearing at this shaft out, you have to take the weight off of this, and it's quite difficult to jack. You can't jack it here because that's hooked to the here, but we figured it out. I just put that on there for safety. It's still hooked to the tractor, but every time you jack it, it wants to wander sideways. And we put a piece of wood in between the tire and the jack, trying to keep it there. It worked I guess it worked quite a bit. But kind of a newfie rig, I guess. Okay. Get the chain on there. Now, because I think this chain is wore, and it's going to be awful loose, even with the adjuster, block of wood adjuster down where it's supposed to be, I'm not going to be able to take a link out of it. You can see someone's been fooling with it here, and it looks like they might have had it. Oh, I can't get it, not quite a length out of it, so I won't be able to shorten it up. But we're gonna tighten this down. Guard back here, 2 spots. I should have took it right off. I was just cheating. There and there, and we'll put the adjuster down all the way. And it's still, even with the adjuster, I might take the slack out of it. We'll see. I might have to bend this down a bit. Okay, with the guard tightened back on, I can see right now that it's not going to tighten the chain up because that guard is not aligned right. I went ahead and tightened these 2 bolts up, and you can see that it's hanging over top that tube. It should be like right over there somewhere. And you can see it's out of a line if you look down the, yeah, right down there. See how it's bent? So I'm going to take my big knockometer and I'm going to adjust the alignment of this shield just a little bit. Okay, so I beat on the sledgehammer a little bit, or my knockometer, and it looks a lot better than it was. What I've done, just kind of tapped it here and here and pounded it back down, and it'll make the chain a lot tighter. Now, even with that, as tight as it goes, well, I guess it's better than it was. It's still kind of loose. I'm thinking about, because this is wood, it's wore, and no one's ever greased it by the looks of it. It's wore grooves in there, so I'm thinking about putting it down like that, kind of turn it on the side a little bit like that, and then tighten it, and that should give me pretty good tension. I don't want too much tension, but you know, not bad. It's better than it was, and it won't skip, hopefully. So let's tighten that up with the big nut on the bottom. Right there. Okay, so it's a few days later and I finally have my needle bearing. The only problem I see with it is the right number and everything, but there's no way for the grease to get through this race part of the bearing. It should have a hole in it, and there's not. So that might be a problem later on because you won't be able to grease it. Now, if you notice inside here, where the bearing rides, there's a groove for the grease to come in. There's grease fitting here. It looks like someone put one in after, and one here. But there is a groove for the grease to go into, but without a hole in this part of the race, you can see the pin bearings in there. That grease isn't going to get in there, and I just don't see it. It seems like the right one. Okay, we're going to get all the tools ready and get her going here. I got a buddy come down. He's supposed to be borrowing it for a few days. And that bearing, I didn't actually go to the Massey dealer to get it, so it cost me a lot less. Let's see if you can see here. Okay, BDI bearing, $10.33. With tax, it was $11.68. But I'm thinking that the Massey one probably has a hole in it. We don't care. We're just going to pack it full of grease and stick her in there, and it should be good for a little while anyway. Okay, I'm going to gather my tools together and we'll get going here. Okay, with a rag, I cleaned all the old grease out of there, that line in there, and I'm checking for burrs because this was riding in there for quite a long time by the looks of it, and I don't feel any burrs, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of the silicone lithium stuff in there. It's the only grease I can find at the moment, just to make it slide a little bit easier inwards, and then definitely going to pack this bearing right full of it because it won't be able to oil it or grease it. Won't be able to grease it, and when I get it in there, and because there's no hole in this part of the race, the outer casing doesn't have a hole in it, so there's no way they're going to be able to pump it full of grease, which I do not like. If I had the time, I'd take a drill and a drill press and I'd drill a couple all the way, tear all the bearings out, drill it all the way around. But since we're under time constraints, we're not going to do that. So now I'll find a hammer. What we're going to do now is lightly tap it in just to start it. Don't hit too hard. Now to keep it straight, I don't really have a bearing driver here. I have this big 1 7/16" socket. I'm going to use this so it evenly puts pressure on the race as it goes in. And try to drive it straight as possible. Boy, it's just going in real easy. Okay. Now I'm just going to put it even with the outside. Just like that. And I could probably go a little bit more. What I'm worried about is this thing coming out of there, falling out. Because we're missing some pieces on the outside, obviously, I think, on this shaft. We'll see in a second. There should be some kind of thrust washer on there. Keep that bearing from flying out. Okay. Okay, this is the part some of you might like. It's going to be shaft insertion time. Anyway, I need to line up. Oh, we can get a shot of it. You can't see it. I'm going to try this side. Anyway, they're going to line the two holes up. I'm better view. Right there. You can see that better. You see how it's not lined up. Okay. So what I first need to do is jack it by the center just enough so it'll come off. I don't want to go up in the air with it because it'll probably fall over. To get that in place, that's what I have to do. And it's not working very good. Oh, yeah, okay, I can do it. Okay. Anyway, you need to put these shims in there as the shaft is going through.